Hey everyone, today we're going to be trying out a new piece of equipment that I've made for my aquarium. Start at the beginning. This aquarium used to be a really lush planted aquarium, and life happened. I had a fourth child and got real busy at work and just didn't have time to take care of the aquarium for a while, and basically everything died. So you can see this aquarium right now. This is actually cleaned up compared to what it was, but there's still detritus everywhere. I've moved the plants around, so the plants are all not in their original locations. They're half dead. You can see the Amazon sword plants kind of going a little bit clear. There's some more back there. We've got stuff hanging off the back of the plants in the current. It's just a giant disaster right now. So what does this allow me to do, though, is to change the entire outlook of my aquarium and try something completely different. So, like I said, it was originally just a pretty normal planted aquarium. It had some current in it, but it was, for the most part, pretty still. Just exactly what you would expect to see out of a heavily planted aquarium. What we are going to change this into is a river-style aquarium, which is partly why all this Vallisneria is all replanted up towards the front, where usually you would see that in the back of the aquarium. What I'm really going to be trying out is a new overflow system that I made, which is this guy right here, and it's a little dim, but it's basically just a big box made out of plexiglass, and it's got an overflow on one side, a pretty deeply cut overflow on one side. This is about 3 inches worth of overhead, and then it's going to go down and up and around and into where the filter is going to sit, which is right inside here. The idea is to solve the problem of current inside of a 6-foot box, basically. One of the problems with current is that since the aquarium is just a complete rectangle, which as most aquariums are, you have the input and the intake, which is the filter over here, just in this absolutely disgusting looking filter over here. The filter is in here and it's sucking in the water on this side, and then the output is over here on the opposite side. And what happens is that it goes from this end down to this end, but it doesn't stop there. That's what we want it to do, is to just go from one end to the other and just end there and start the whole process over again via the filter, sucking everything in and then sending it back through the tube out this way. Instead, what ends up happening is that we have a whirlpool effect, which is that it comes down here, hits the other end of the aquarium, and then it goes up and around, catches the flow from this end over here all over again, and we have a big circle that's going right through here. Whatever water doesn't get trapped in this water pool right here goes to the back of the aquarium, and you can see, as I showed you before, with all this nasty gunk that's where are we? The nasty gunk that's in the aquarium, you can see that the nasty gunk is actually going this way, because in the back of the aquarium the current goes that way, though in the front of the aquarium the current goes this way. So we have a circular effect going on in 2 spots in the aquarium, and I'm trying to circumvent that via this new filtration method that I've got. So what I'm going to do, well, let's talk about my fish first. Why would I want to do this? I've got a lot of North American native species in here, and most of these species come from very fast-moving, cold, high-oxygen waters. Can point out some of these guys. That's a golden shiner right there. This guy is a common shiner right there. This one's a spot fin shiner. We've got some various other shiners in here, sand shiners. We've got some, this guy right here is a blunt-nosed minnow, and I've also got a fathead minnow. Where is he? Right there. Standard bait bucket minnows even, that you just can catch in the rivers. We've got some redfin shiners in there too. I also have this little fellow down here, which is a banded darter. And these guys, where I catch these guys at in the area, which I'm from Chicago, is going to be really, like I said, really fast moving, cold, high oxygen waters. Some of these guys have come from some streams where the water is what you call an A1 grading, which is like the highest clarity. One particular stream that I caught a lot of these guys in houses like 5 different endangered species to Illinois, so the water is extremely clear. And these guys, they want that. They want that moving water, they want the cold water, they want the high oxygen water, and so I'm going to try to emulate that in the aquarium. And one of the things that I have to do in order to emulate that is get rid of this whirlpool effect. So let's look at the filter now. Right now, well, let's start off with right now. Right now, basically, I just have an internal box, and the water goes in through the top. I have an 800 gallon per hour pond pump over here, and you can see as soon as I move my camera over here, all the fish come swarming in front of it. But there's a pond pump in there. It's basically just a waterfall filter, and then that comes out here through a spray bar and distributes the current through an area rather than just having it from like a dumping point or something like that, like a normal, just a spout, which is what would be if I didn't have this arm on here. I also have a power head in there, and I will be making use of that eventually, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that, but at the moment it's got no filter on it or anything, and which basically leaves it to being a giant death trap and sucking fish up into it, and I don't want that, so it's not turned on at the moment. What I have built, so remember what the problem was that I said, which is you can see the current here in the front. It's going towards the right, but then the current in the back is going towards the left, and the current here, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this with the particulate matter that's floating around in the water, because this water is incredibly dirty right now. You can see how it's starting off over here, and it's moving towards the left, and then kind of circling downwards. You can see it kind of floating there. It circles downwards and then catches the rest of the current down here and finds its way circling back around again. We want to entirely eliminate that. So in my filter that I've got here, this is roughly the same height as the aquarium that I have, and this aquarium is 110 gallons, something like that. It's 6 feet long, 18 inches deep. So this is about the same depth. This box is about the same depth as the aquarium, but is significantly shorter. And as part of setting up a river system, I want to drop the current water level, which reaches the top of the aquarium, or nearly the top of the aquarium. I want to drop that down about 6 inches and have the aquarium only about 3/4 of the way filled, so that way I want to force these Amazon sword plants to grow immersed and get their above water growth out of them, because they will grow very tall. Right now they're very dwarfed because they were not growing in the greatest of conditions. I had, as you can see, a lot of this Vallisneria is still choking up a lot of the light in there, and I had even more plants that were growing across the top too that were just shading off everything, which is why everything died. That's what happens when you don't take care of your aquarium, and that's fine. So we're going to fix that though. So anyway, I want to drop the water level to get some of these Amazon swords and some of the other plants that I plan on putting in there to grow in their immersed form and grow up out of the water the way you would expect to see plants growing out of the water in a river system. So that said, this is just slightly shorter than the height of the aquarium, and the idea is that when I put this in, when the water with the water level lower, most of the current is going to be towards the top rather than towards the bottom. So instead of hitting the back wall of the aquarium and spinning around, now the current is going to hit the tines. Oops, not even looking at where I'm pointing the camera. The current is going to hit the tines and dump right into the filter box instead. So that way the majority of the current, and there will still be some that's going to get recirculated, and that's fine. I'm trying to eliminate the majority of it. I'm not trying to make a perfect system, which is probably next to impossible, at least in this kind of a setup. It can be done, but usually the way it's done is by dividing the aquarium up into different little pools, and you can find examples of that on YouTube all over the place. But if we want to just keep the aquarium as one solid box and yet have it as much of a river system as possible, it's going to be you're not going to get perfection out of it. So I'm going to try to kill some of that some of that whirlpool effect as much as possible, and the way that I'm going to do that is by getting as much of the current that's within the aquarium to get sucked into the filter. And so that would be why I built this filter box to be it's nearly the entire width of the aquarium, even though the actual overflow is only 6 inches of it. The pumps should be able to suck in enough water to keep most of the water wanting to go through there, rather than circling around, bouncing off the side of the pump and circling back or something like that. It should all dump in here theoretically. So that's what we're going to test, really, just to see what this works. This is a pretty simple idea. I'll give you a let's see. It's a little dark over here. It's basically just a real simple sump system. So you have the overflow on this side, which I plan to use for a plant filter, which I'll get to in a second. So that the overflow is here, and then we have our one baffle right here and another baffle down here. This one has a little gap at the bottom of it, so the water is going to go down through here, over into in between this baffle, then up and over and spill over into this blacked out area here. If you can't see that, that's on purpose, because it's all black in here, because I don't want to be able to see the filter when I put this in there. The water is going to spill over into the pump area, where I'm going to have my filter, my mechanical filter material, my biological filter material, all that's going to be in there. On top of that, I also installed, this is really darker than I was expecting it to be, I also installed a little nozzle here. The reason I put a nozzle here is so that I can put a standard piece of hosing on here and run the hosing to the other end of the aquarium and hook that hose up to a power head, so that way I've got my waterfall pump in here that's pumping the water out of the filter housing over to the other end of the aquarium, but I also have the power head, which is going to add to the current flow. The power head is also sucking out of the filter pump rather than sucking from the other end of the aquarium, because if I had let's just say like a filter sponge on the end of the power head, that would contribute to that recirculating that whirlpool effect, because you're going to be pulling water towards the power head in order to get it back out again. We don't want that. We want all of the water sucked from this end of the aquarium and none of it from the output. So that way the current is unidirectional, at least as much unidirectional as possible. Oh, there's another fish right there that I didn't mention. Where is he? There he is. That's a carmine shiner. Don't get those a whole lot in Illinois. Only in real clear and clean creeks. Real pretty. Anyway, getting distracted here. So this is what we're going to test. This is what we're going to see if this works. So I'm going to end this here, and the next time you see this, hopefully this aquarium will be a whole lot cleaner and is going to have a ton more rocks in it. We're going to get rid of all this detritus, all this old leaf matter. I'm going to move around a bunch of the rocks. I don't think I'm going to be moving around many of the plants. Maybe this pond lily here will probably get moved, but most of the plants are where I want them. Oh yeah, one more thing that I wanted to mention was using a plant filter. What I meant by a plant filter in the overflow. This is actually a technique for outdoor ponds in the filter, which is for your biological material, rather than having like bio balls or something like that where it would spill over the bio balls and the bio balls get populated by bacteria, and that's how your biological filter works. Instead, I want to use plants in here and grow plants in this end, so that way the plant's roots become the biological filtration for the aquarium. My plant of choice that I'm probably going to use is going to be Lobelia cardinalis, the cardinal plant. For one thing, they're a native plant, so it fits the theme of the aquarium, even though many of my other plants are not native. That's okay. But one thing that Lobelia does is that it not only does it grow rather upright, which lends itself to growing in a box, but also it has a very, very dense and very, very thick root ball, which is what you want in a plant filter, because you're using the plant's root zone to filter out the impurities in the water. It's not a mechanical filter. Remember, it's a biological filter, so it's going to be removing a lot of the nitrates and nitrites and ammonia from the water. So that's a pond technique. You don't use that a whole lot in aquariums. Some people with sumps in their aquarium sometimes will have a plant filter in there. Basically, they'll throw some moss in there, or they'll throw kabamba in their plant filter or something like that, and just have it circulating. I'm going to have something rooted in there, and I might not do that right away. I want to kind of test the water with it first, see if this is actually going to work, and then the next step is seeing if I can actually put a substrate inside of this to get plants to grow, because one of the things I'm worried about is that since I built this, it's not exactly the greatest craftsmanship. I would never ever use this as an external filter because it leaks, so it only can go inside the aquarium. And then on top of that, putting rocks inside of it, you're going to have a lot of pressure from the inside pushing outward, and I'm kind of worried that maybe it might come apart or something if I put rocks inside of there. So we'll see about that. I'm going to try that in the future. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. We'll see, but that's the plan anyway. All right, so next time you see this, it should be a whole lot more cleaned up, and we'll see if this works, and show you what a river system looks like, hopefully. All right, thanks.